SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
You're listening to Sports Talk Mississippi On Demand, presented by Pearl River Resort. Escape to Choctaw, Mississippi and enjoy world-class gaming, the Dancing Rabbit Golf Club, and Geyser Falls Water Park. Escape to Pearl River Resort.
Sports Talk Mississippi is on the air. Sports Talk Mississippi is powered by C-Spire. Power your home or business with C-Spire Fiber. To learn more, visit supertalk.fm/C-Spire. C-Spire Fiber powers SuperTalk Mississippi. To the junction, in the Grove, and to the top. This is Sports Talk Mississippi. On your radio and in the game, right here on Super Talk Mississippi.
Welcome in on a Thursday. Michael Borky and Robbie Falk sitting in for Hey Dad with you. It was in overtime, the gold medal game, USA Women's Hockey. Who had given up one goal all Olympics until today. They gave up a second one today, but in overtime, and it was electric, and Megan Keller with Kenny Albert on the call. Here's what it sounded like.
Albert pass for Keller, a defenseman. Nice move, cuts to the net, score! Megan Keller, the overtime hero, United States, brings goal to belong.
Play Freebird, that's right, USA. Hopefully that's a good omen for the men tomorrow as well. But one of the most dominating runs in the history of international hockey for the women. Again, 2 goals. Two goals. That's all they gave up the entire Olympics, and they win the gold over Canada. We are even better than them at the sports that we don't care about that much. Welcome in. So glad that you guys are here on this Thursday. We will talk baseball. We will talk a pretty legendary performance in Starkville last night. Got a conversation upcoming with my buddy Michael Katz and more with you, Robbie. What's up? How are you?
I'm great. I was going to say with the women's hockey, isn't that Canada's sport?
That's their sport.
You know, like that's what they do. I mean, we have the NHL. I mean, the majority, I would guess, most of the players in the NHL are from Canada, I would think. I mean, I don't keep up with hockey that much, but that's kind of their thing. That's like down the pecking order for us. It's kind of like soccer.
Yeah.
Like when we're really good at soccer, I'm like, this is pathetic. I mean, our best players are playing basketball and football and baseball. You know, this is like the 5th and 6th string.
Megan Keller was fast, and every sports fan can tell you fast speed wins games. It's why C-Spire brings you fiber, home, internet, nationwide, 5G wireless, and IT solutions that move as fast as your business or the United States hockey teams. Learn more at cspire.com. C-Spire, inspired by you. Yes, there is something about, and I'm one of those guys, Robbie. I am just a sucker for if you have USA on your chest. I am invested in your results and these hockey teams. Hockey is so electric and so much fun, and the women dominate. The men have a game tomorrow in the semis. There's just something about it that gets me, and also Freebird as the goal song is just chef's kiss. It's just perfect.
Oh, they actually play that?
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear it in the background. See if you can hear it. It's hard to tell, but that is the goal song for United States hockey. Is they write when he's like "Fly, free bird," yeah, and then they hit the solo.
That's my national anthem. I mean, no disrespect to Francis Scott Key, but the Van Zant vocals. That's my national anthem.
Oh man,
we were robbed, by the way, of so much music from Leonard Skinner.
Yeah, we were.
They were gone so quickly. The amount of music they put out in the time frame was unbelievable. They were gone so quickly. I mean, there's no telling what they would have done. I know the band that they had was pretty much a tribute band. I mean, they had a couple of members still in it, but it wasn't the same. But that is a absolutely perfect song. We were watching a little bit of the men's hockey game. They played yesterday or Tuesday.
They played Sweden on Tuesday.
I just remember all the days run together whenever baseball and basketball are both going on at the same time. But we were up there watching that for a little bit, and I was a little concerned there for a while because things were tied up, but they ended up pulling it out. But hockey's awesome. I mean, I don't watch it enough. I really don't. I feel like I should be more adept into it, but I never get around to watching it. I don't have a team. But it's always fun when I sit down and watch it. I mean, it's fast paced. You got guys and gals, running into the wall. You can fight. I mean, it's awesome. It should be an American staple.
Especially since we're good at it, Yeah. I mean, we're really good at it. I'm with you. Like, I always want to adopt a hockey team. I want to, but it's hard to watch because everything in sports now, you have to buy a subscription service to buy another one to be able to watch a team that you choose. Like, I want to be a Predators fan. How do I watch them? Yep. Well, you got to buy another subscription service. It's like, well, I got 6 of those already. I mean, do I really need another one? It's tough, but fun also. I love seeing the videos, too, of watch parties and stuff, people celebrating. I love that. I live for stuff like that.
I miss the days. I just don't feel like everything's as patriotic as it used to be.
Yeah, we're losing that.
And I miss the days where we all got on the same page, and I would stay up until midnight and watch gymnastics. Like I didn't matter. Like whenever the Summer and Winter Olympics rolled around, I was watching speed skating. I was watching stuff I've never seen in my life, and I'm standing up the whole time. I'm cheering. I mean, whatever it takes for USA to win the gold and to have more gold medals than everybody else. Like, that was peak childhood and growing up during that time, and everybody was kind of on the same page. And it feels like we're just not really, I don't want to get political, but I mean, it feels like we're just not where we used to be.
We are not where we used to be, but still really fun nonetheless. By the way, we're losing in snowboarding now. We invented it, and we're losing in snowboarding. We got to figure that one out.
Get the flying tomato back out there.
Got to get him back. That is one of my most prized possessions. I have an unused snowboard signed by Shaun White, actually.
That is awesome. It was kind of sad because I'm saying get him back out there. I think he's a commentator now. I saw something on snowboarding the other day for the Olympics, and he was the guy like introducing it, and I'm like, dang, we're getting old.
Yeah, just wait until Tiger starts doing golf broadcasts.
Oh gosh.
What's going to be the worst though? It's not Jordan turning 63. His day was a long time ago. It's when like C.J. McCollum starts calling games on TV.
Yeah.
Because a lot of you, I think, would remember his Lehigh game. When he was at Lehigh, he beat Duke as a 15 seed basically by himself, like one of those NCAA tournament upsets that everybody can remember. He's on the tail end of his career. He's almost done playing. And, I'm not that old, but I remember the C.J. McCollum Lehigh game. I remember that. And he's about to be calling games on TV soon. I don't like that. The former players that are calling games, that makes me feel older than when a player that, like Carmelo Anthony's son, playing college basketball. Mm-hmm. That doesn't make me feel as old as if Carmelo Anthony was on the broadcast for some reason.
Well, when I was on here last, we went through the Hall of Fame nominees, and the majority of that list were guys that we watched a large part of their career. I'm sitting there looking at J.J. Redick on the sidelines with the Lakers, and I'm like, my gosh, I was pulling for J.J. Redick at Duke.
Yeah.
I enjoyed watching J.J. Redick. I watched all those games back in the day for Duke, and now this dude's an NBA coach. Like his college career's over, his NBA career's over. He's now coaching in the league,
and he's been coaching so long he might get fired. I mean,
exactly. It's crazy. Like it just happened like this, man. We popped up and we're old.
Somebody says I was there as a Duke fan with the facepalm emoji. And how old? I hate to do this to you. How old do you feel right now? You were there at the C.J. McCollum Lehigh game, and now, I mean, he is almost done.
What year was that?
2011?
Okay.
Let me see.
That wasn't like the...
2012. March 16th, 2012.
That wasn't like the Plumlees year, was it? Were they a little later? I'm trying to remember what team that was.
Box score for that game. Here we go. March 16, 2012. Lehigh Duke. Lehigh 75, Duke 70. Plumlee, yeah, so McCollum had 30 and 6 assists, and Plumlee had 19 and 12.
Wow.
So that was the Plumlee game, yeah.
Man.
And C.J. McCollum
about to retire.
Didn't even start. He didn't start the game.
He just came in and went off.
Dropped 30 off the bench. Mason and Miles Plumlee. Austin Rivers was on that team. Seth Curry was on that team.
That was a good team.
And they lost to Lehigh.
Yep.
It's, the NCAA tournament sometimes delivers.
Hey, State gave them a run in 05, I think it was. That team, that really good Duke team in 05. State gave them a run in round 2. Winston Frazier. I think he was on J.J. Redick.
601-879-4395. James says, I remember Apollo Ono in short track speed skating. I remember him too.
I loved Apollo Ono. I watched all those speed skating. I don't even know what that's called. Exhibitions.
Speaking
races.
Of having a big night, who did somebody here in this state have a big night last night in a win? We will talk about that when we come back. Sports Talk Mississippi, Pearl River Resort Studio.
You're hearing Sports Talk Mississippi.
What? This is so
awesome on Super Talk Mississippi.
Welcome back, Sports Talk Mississippi. Michael Borky and Robbie Falk with you. Last night in Starkville, a hot start became a hot half, became a record-breaking night for Josh Hubbard. Mississippi State wins 91-85, but the story, now look, the win's good, and we'll get to the other part about Keyshawn Murphy returning to Starkville in a second, but the story is not the game, it's the individual from last night. Josh Hubbard, 39 minutes played, 46 points on 15 of 27 from the field, including 10 of 16 threes, and for good measure, 8 rebounds in the game on top of all of that. Broke a Mississippi State record in made threes in the first half. And I don't mean he broke the record for made threes in the first half of a game. I mean he broke the record for made threes in a game and did that in the first half of last night's game. An unbelievable performance for Josh Hubbard last night.
Yeah, it was incredible. And sometimes you can kind of sense a special night coming for him because when he gets locked in, man, he's hard to stop. I was watching Stephen Pearl, especially in that first half, on every single shot. I mean, Stephen Pearl was losing his mind. But there weren't a whole lot of just wide open looks. He did have 3 or 4 of those, but they had their hand in his face. He was making some step back, pull up shots that, you just don't see people draining. He was in his zone last night. And every now and then he has those kind of games. I thought he had a really good game against Ole Miss. The last 3 games, especially, he's been locked in. And he wasn't playing very well. For the 4 games before this stretch, he was 6 of 21 from 3. During that time, he had a game where he didn't make a 3-point shot, which was the first one of the season. And dating back to last year, I can't remember how many games, but it was a long stretch of games where he had at least 1 3-pointer made. He had a game in there, I believe, against Vanderbilt where he didn't even score in double digits. So he was not playing good basketball. And somehow, the last 3 games, he's just been very good. 3 straight games with 30-plus points. He was 1 point away from the school record in points in a game, 10 3-pointers. They did a really good job in the second half of just keeping the ball out of his hands, and that's how they got back in it, is they're basically doubling him, and nobody else from Mississippi State could do much of anything, and that's kind of been the issue with this team all year long. Mm-hmm. But lucky for State, I mean, his individual effort was so great that they were able to overcome what was a serious run by Auburn. And I give credit to State down the stretch. Jabari McGee had some big free throws. They got a couple of big rebounds, some defensive stops. But you just don't have a chance in that game without Josh Hubbard. And it would have been a shame if they would have lost that game with what he did. But all the same, the individual effort was just incredible. I mean, 35 points and a half is just unheard of.
It's unheard of. Where does that I know it's hard because you have teams that have made the tournament, you have a Final Four run in the history of the program, but individual game performances, where is that in terms of Mississippi State basketball history?
In the games in my lifetime, it's the greatest. You know, I've seen some triple doubles. I've seen some amazing efforts as far as shot blocking from Jarvis Bernardo. He set the NCAA record in block shots. You know, we would see him get triple doubles with blocks, and it was just amazing to watch. But I've never seen anything like that at Mississippi State. To hit 10 3-pointers and do it efficiently. He didn't shoot 30 times. I mean, he was 10 of 16. So this wasn't just a volume thing where he just shot a bunch and, he just got a few to fall. He was 10 of 16. And the efficiency that he did it was just really special. And that's a lot of people commented after the game, but Bailey Howell had 47. He didn't have a 3-point line. And while I respect everything that Bailey Howell did, and I'm not diminishing what he did, I think it's a little disingenuous to not give Hubbard credit for that when he was shooting the percentage type shot he was shooting. I mean, he's shooting from 25 feet. That's a very low percentage shot. And he was nailing them with hands in his face, falling down. I mean, you got to give the guys due. It's up there with, I would say it's the greatest of all time, but I never saw Bailey Howell play. But I think that has got to be in the conversation, very much so, the greatest performance. And it's one of the best individual performances in Mississippi State sports history to do what he did.
I mean, it's hard to ignore the accolades and the records that he broke last night. And so there's that. There's individual performance, all-time great type night from him. 2 wins in a row, and 2 different ways. You said it. I mean, Ole Miss's strategy, and it was the right decision, was to double Hubbard and make anybody else beat you, and then anybody else beat them that day.
That was an outlier.
Yeah. And then last night, Hubbard goes off. They're now 5-8 in the SEC. The non-conference slate is just not going to allow them to be in the tournament conversation. But 2 wins in a row have kind of, I don't know if stabilized is the right word, but it's calmed down the disaster that it felt like that season was becoming.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be Lamont Paris, South Carolina, what Dennis Gates did a couple years ago. Like, it really felt like that's where things were trending. This was going to be a 2 or 3 win team because they were just so bad. I mean, nobody was doing anything outside of Hubbard. Epps would come through for you a little bit, but the thing that's killing them more than anything is Quincy Ballard has been an absolute bust. I mean, he has been, I won't say non-existent, but he's nowhere close to what you thought he was going to be. And that's a massive part of what you plan to do that is no longer doing anything. I mean, you're getting 6 points and 6 rebounds from him, in SEC games. It's just, that's not going to cut it. And, Keyshawn Murphy had a tough game on Wednesday night, but that's a guy that this season's probably completely different if he's still here. But what he was doing in Jan's offense and defense, a guy that is a legitimately capable scorer from just inside the 3-point line to the rim, really good rebounder, and you lost that. And you thought you were getting a guy in Quincy Ballard that could maybe not replicate his style of play, but he could give you, could he give you 12 points a night and maybe 8 or 9 rebounds? And you're not getting it. I mean, he's losing a lot of his minutes to a true freshman that they expected nothing out of this year. They thought that Jamarian Davis-Fleming was going to be a developmental guy. They thought he was going to be kind of a defensive specialist, shot blocker, rebounder. They're having to ask him to do some things offensively. And so that's what's killing him. Now, Chor's played hard. He's actually been solid. He had a really good game against Ole Miss. He's performed probably above my expectations, but getting next to nothing out of Quincy Ballard has been killer. And it's put so much pressure on a 5'10", 5'11" guard and Josh Hubbard, who lives around the three-point line, to be essentially perfect. Yeah. He has to have 30-plus points to feel like you have a really good shot of winning the game.
And it did happen last night. The next layer to that, Keyshawn Murphy, his return. Some players hit the portal and you understand. I mean, like when Missouri makes their return trip to Oxford, Austin Simmons is not going to get the negative treatment. Right. I don't think he should get the hero treatment, but he's not going to get the negative treatment. That was a clean breakup. It was fine. Everybody understands. Everybody was like treated each other the right way. Keyshawn Murphy goes to Auburn, and he's a college athlete. Did some trolling and stuff and said some things, and that understandably upset his previous place. He makes that return trip last night. 7 points, 1 of 7 from the field. He did have 11 rebounds, but and also a really bad missed dunk mixed in there. I mean, he was awful last night in his return to Starkville.
Yeah, I think the crowd was in his head, and he was probably trying to do a little too much. Josh Hubbard was giving him the business during the game too. I mean, I don't know what their relationship is, but they certainly didn't look entirely friendly out there. Josh, after the game, standing right beside him saying, "You don't leave state," kind of screaming it at the crowd. And Josh, I mean, people have this idea about NIL and stuff, like these teams are just going to coerce Josh Hubbard to get in the portal. This guy is Mississippi State through and through at this point. He signed with Ole Miss initially. He comes to Mississippi State. He loves Mississippi State. I mean, you're not going to find a guy that loves Mississippi State more than him. And believe me, teams around this league have tried to get him in the portal, and he's not going. So he took it personal.
Very publicly.
Every year, I think. But he takes it personal. He took it personal that Mississippi State stuck their neck out for Keyshawn Murphy, and he decided to leave. And he took that personal.
We'll keep talking. We got a couple of really good messages on the text line. We'll get to those. We'll talk about Ole Miss's collapse on the hardwood last night and more with you. Sports Talk Mississippi, talking hoops early on when we come back.
From theseabrook.com.
Are we going to do this?
Back to Sports Talk Mississippi.
Keep rolling. 3, 2, 1.
Super Talk Mississippi.
Sports Talk Mississippi is brought to you in part by AgriGold. AgriGold believes progress in the field starts with seed and the people who plant it. That's why AgriGold focuses 100% on seed, delivering trusted genetics and solutions to help you get more out of every acre. Contact Kerry Baker at 662-836-7417. 662-836-7417, your local AgriGold representative to learn more. Or visit agrigold.com to explore seed solutions and agronomy resources. Plant your legacy today with AgriGold. We got this message. You asked the other day, what is the biggest question for state fans right now? It has to be, will Josh Hubbard come back next year with the right pieces around him? There's no way they can't compete for an SEC championship or make a run in the tournament. He also says Keyshawn Murphy talking mess to Hubbard before the game was a mistake. He got the last bark at him. I can't read today. We talked about a very similar concept with the Trinidad deal is, well, why is he not going to the NFL right now? And I've said repeatedly, and some of you on the text line just did not believe me, and there are national media people or even people that cover teams in other states, like Jim Dunaway, who I like a lot, but Dunaway said, well, he's a first-round pick. Why? He's throwing that away. He's not. The feedback that they got from the NFL was, if you can, go back to school. There's things about his game that they want to see improve, and also there's a physical limitation that he can't overcome. But there are things that they want to see more of, and for some reason people just, took that as like a knock on the player. It's not. The NFL, the NBA are totally different than college football. That's why a guy like Tim Tebow can dominate college football and then never make it in the NFL.
And guys that are not great college players are superstars in the NFL sometimes.
Look at Josh Allen's college stats.
Yeah, Chris Jones. Chris Jones was like, I think he might have been 1 year first team All-SEC, but he didn't really do that much.
He didn't dominate the way that he has in the NFL.
No.
And Josh Hubbard has, unfortunately for him, and it's great for Mississippi State, he has physical limitations that prevent him from being a legitimate NBA prospect. He's a below 6 foot off-ball guard. And those guys don't play in the NBA. They don't have those. And yes, you find an example of a player that, back in 2005 was this height. Those are extreme outliers. His best bet, unless he's just done playing college ball and wants to go play professional basketball somewhere, he will make the most money staying in college. That's where he is by far the most valuable, being an off-ball guard below 6 feet. And I know he's listed at 6 feet tall. He's not 6 feet tall.
No, the shortest player is Yuki Kawamura for the Grizzlies. He's 5'8". But that's
how many minutes does he get a night?
Yeah, that's a major outlier. There's just not going to be a lot of interest for him in the NBA because of the size. And with that in mind, you're probably going to be looking at playing overseas, and you look at the salaries overseas. Can anything come close to what he can make at Mississippi State? Because contrary to what people think about Mississippi State, when they talk about the job and they talk about resources or whatever, Mississippi State has had a really good basketball booster network, whatever you want to call it. They've had that for a while now, and it was a group that kind of moved back in the shadows when Rick Ray was here, and after the Stansbury stuff. I mean, there was a lot of people upset about that. But they've been back since Ben Howland, and they've been able to retain the players they want to retain for the most part. They've been able to go out and acquire, some pretty good talent. And they've kept Josh Hubbard here. I mean, I said earlier, I think Josh Hubbard is a Bulldog. He loves Mississippi State. He wants to be here. But you don't hold off some of these other programs just because he has love in his heart for Mississippi State. It's still a business, and Mississippi State is and has been and was paying a lot of money for Josh Hubbard because he's worth it, because you don't have a Josh Hubbard you can go get in the portal. Mm-hmm. This is a guy that, if Mississippi State was a player in the postseason, and they've been there the last 3 years, if they were a team that could advance in the postseason, he would be a superstar nationally. He would be a guy that everybody latched on to because he's got that. You don't know when he's just going to come down the floor and just chunk it up and it drop. I mean, that's how we felt watching Steph Curry at Davidson back in the day and guys like that. I mean, that's how people would look at Josh Hubbard.
Yeah, and you're going to have to fight off. I mean, every player gets offered all. It's just how it works now. You're gonna have to fight them off, and it is what it is. But
I can promise you, he is a priority to Mississippi State.
Should be.
He is like one of the top priorities for Mississippi State in the entire campus. That they've gone above and beyond, and he has not been a problem. He has not been one of those guys. There's a lot of players at these schools that people just don't know about. Yeah. That they'll sign a deal or they'll agree to a deal, and then they'll come back and say, you know what, I think I want a little more money. I got somebody else calling me. Like, he's not that kind of guy. And so it's not all about money with him, but like anybody else, I mean, he still would like to get what he's owed. I mean, he's putting Mississippi State basketball out there. This team's 13-13 right now. and Josh Hubbard was trending on Twitter last night. I mean, how many times can that happen for Mississippi State basketball? So this is a guy he elevates your program on the national stage. You got to do what you can to keep him in that. Every year, Mississippi State fans think he's entering the portal. Some of them try to push him into the portal for whatever reason. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. And every single year, he goes about his business. You don't have any issues out of him, and he comes back. We'll see if he comes back. I don't foresee him transferring, but he might just say, I want to test the NBA. I don't know. I think he's smart enough to understand where his value is. That's why he came back this year. But it's definitely something to monitor.
Dwight says Hubbard's basically Steph Moody. That's a great comp. I love Steph Moody.
I've always thought that.
Such a joy to watch play the game of basketball. I mean, he said it. The reason why he was jersey number 42 is because that was his vertical, and I just believe him because, gosh, what a fun player that was.
I watched Steph Moody highlights the other day actually, because I love Andy Kennedy, and
he's something, isn't he?
That's a guy. So Hubbard would have gone to Ole Miss if Kermit Davis stayed anyway. Mm-hmm. But that's a guy that would have flourished under Andy Kennedy.
Yeah.
Josh Hubbard.
Oh, yeah. Hubbard, the green light, run a baseline, a couple baseline cuts and take your three. Yeah.
Because he always had that guy. I mean, there was not another Steph Moody, but he always had a guy like that. Chris Warren, who it was Tyree,
Brian Tyree.
Was he a Kennedy guy?
He was so close to making the NBA too, and then he blew out his knee in a G League game. I mean, he was like this close to getting a call up and got hurt. Yeah, it was. Every year one of those guys. It was
the same guy and he'd have that guy for 4 years, and then the next guy would come in.
A smaller guard that came. Wasn't highly recruited or whatever. Maybe came from junior college or something like that, and.
Steph Moody, for someone like me that was not pulling for Ole Miss, watching those games, I much prefer watching Steph Moody than I did Marshall Henderson. Because he was just like kind of go about my business, go out
and
there
he did
and
it
ball.
all too. I mean, he would drive to the back. Like he had a better skill set, a more enjoyable skill set to watch than. And Henderson was fun for different reasons, but he mostly
didn't really talk smack. I mean, he just went out there and played.
Somebody says he can always go pro and then come back. Yeah, there's a good point there. At least for a couple of games, anyway.
He can go to the G League and come back. He can actually sign a contract.
I do. Now that it's over, it is interesting that Greg Sankey drew a line in the sand against his own member school. Yeah. And I asked the question at the time, like, hey, are you confident that the commissioner is going to go to bat for you or go to bat for the NCAA in an upcoming trial? Or, Ole Miss is dealing with the Dabo tampering thing. Are you sure that your commissioner is going to go to bat for you with something like this? Or is he going to take this is what's best for college sports stance? I think his absence in the Trinidad trial and in the Aguilar trial tells you that the Bediaco, Alabama, former pro coming back thing was simply just a bridge too far. Yeah. I can defend a lot of things. I can go to bat for my league members. I really can't let this be what we do. And so, I think
Trinidad and Aguilar are kind of a little more muddy.
Well, a lot different than former pro coming back just for the heck of it.
They were talking. There were actual points that those two could make to get their eligibility back. This made no sense.
And the guy that actually played in the NBA is, I guess, about to commit to Grand Canyon.
Oh Lord.
Anyway, Sports Talk Mississippi, Pearl River Resort Studio. Stick with us.
From the
Come on,
SuperTalk Mississippi.
check this out.
Are you ready? Yeah! Sports Talk Mississippi.
Michael Borky and Robbie Falk, Sports Talk, Mississippi. A man named David works in the parts department at a Ford dealership right here in Mississippi. Don't know his last name. Don't need to know. We don't need to out him, I suppose. But David got lucky. And hey, by the way, check out your local Mississippi Ford dealer for a new F-150, if you don't mind. David works in the parts department. He's also going to get a fat payday. How do I know that? He bought 4 boxes of 2025 Topps Chrome cards at a local store for $50 each. So $200 investment in some Topps Chrome baseball cards. In the second box, he found what's called a redemption for the Paul Skeens Gold MLB Logo Man patch. He's never sold a card before, and apparently this one is up for auction, and 21 hours ago, the auction closes later today, 21 hours ago, the card had a bid of $42,000 on it.
Wow. That'd be a nice little bit of change just to kind of pop up in your bank account.
It was 21 hours ago, so you would assume more bids have come in, so more money than that. But shout out David.
Yeah, that's awesome. How about that?
Yeah.
About how I felt whenever I got my check for my timber I cut.
Yeah.
It was nice.
We got this message on the text line. It says, why is this show becoming so state-centered? Ole Miss needs a stronger voice. And I replied, anybody that listened during football season would say the exact opposite. State won last night. They get the love today as a result. And he said, Borky gets run over by the state reps. Hey, Dad does it bad. Whatever lose, he said lose, but lose Ole Miss listeners. I'm here to tell you, we heard truly, and I understand if you're upset with the show today. It's okay. If you didn't like it, I hope you come back tomorrow. During football season, and football season lasted a long time. It went from September through January.
Really August.
August, for sure. But, I mean, Ole Miss started winning, and that became the story. We heard the exact opposite criticism every single day.
Do you know how many times I saw that on my message board?
Oh, man. Every day.
Hey, Dad just gets run over every day by Borky. It's the exact same but opposite.
It's a tough balance. We try to strike it, and maybe some days we come up short. Ole Miss was a great football team, so they dominated the conversation during football season. Mississippi State won last night, had a historic performance. That's going to dominate the show today. It's just how it's going to be. I've kind of been avoiding what Ole Miss did last night because they're a bad team, and they did what bad teams do again. There's not much more you can say about Ole Miss basketball right now that is anything other than awful. I mean, they scored their 77th point last night with 3:32 to go in the game, and they were up 6 at that moment. I think it was an A.J. Storr layup that scored their 77th point. They did not score again. And the scoreboard says they lost by 3. They really lost by 1. They had a game winner that missed, and then they fouled with a second left, so A&M got a pair of free throws. But they finally got off to a good start, played 36 minutes of good basketball, and then just kind of vomited all over themselves in the final 4 minutes of the game and lost again. But frankly, that's what bad teams do.
Yeah.
And bad teams find ways to lose when they could have won. I don't know how the season's going to end. I know that it's shocking to go from Sweet 16 to having to give food away to get people to show up to the student section for Florida on Saturday. Mm-hmm. I don't blame Ole Miss for doing that, by the way. You got to get people in the door as best you can, but I'm shocked that they've gotten to this point. I think that if you don't believe in Chris Beard, you're crazy. He's got a track record of that. He brought you to your second Sweet 16 in the history of the entire program, but there are a lot of problems with this team. Third year in a row, they've been awful rebounding. They are finding ways to lose, and this is a very fascinating offseason because the season's done. I mean, it doesn't matter. Whatever happens Saturday, frankly, it doesn't matter. They've got to fix things. There's been a lot of talk about them hiring a GM. that appears to be a desperate need at this point. I think they've got to figure some things out about how they operate offensively. They've got to figure out how they can become a better rebounding team. Because even last year they were a bad rebounding team. They just overcame it with really good guard play. They were deep and talented and good at guard.
And they were very experienced across the board. I mean, look at all those players that have played so much.
A lot of experience. I mean, even guys that they brought in, Dre Davis and Padula, played a lot of basketball, and it didn't work this year. They're bad, and they lost again last night. So, I mean, there's not much more to say with what Ole Miss did, but it's just disgusting. I mean, having a 6-point lead with 3:32 to go and not scoring another point is just gross basketball. But that's what they've been for a couple of months now. They've been a gross basketball team. And luckily you have a coach that can figure it out quickly, and you basically turn over your roster every year in college basketball. But it's been ugly in a lot of ways, and, man, they've got to figure that out this offseason. We'll be right back. Sports Talk Mississippi.
Let the broadcasting of the disturbed continue.
Sports Talk Mississippi. Super Talk Mississippi.
Hour 2, Sports Talk Mississippi. The text line's cracking me up right now because we have affirmation on both sides. You talk about State too much, you talk about Ole Miss too much. It's giving me a good laugh. We're just doing our best out here, and we're glad that you are with us. I'm Michael Borky. He's Robbie Falk. If you are an Ole Miss fan that thinks that we have spent too much time on State today, guess what? Coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, I had a conversation with good buddy Michael Katz and talked about his having to sit through the 90-minute reading of a ruling and more with him. Good conversation, good dude as well. That's coming up. Also, the Chicago Bears are on the move, and I have an idea for the state of Mississippi on that. Kidding on the second part, but the first part is real. The Bears reportedly heading out of Chicago. We'll talk about that and more with you. That's coming up on Sports Talk Mississippi, brought to you by Ag Up. Own the John Deere compact tractor you've always wanted, now with 0% financing at Ag Up. Whether you're trading in, upgrading your land, or a new landowner in need of equipment, your down-home team will get you the right machine at the right price. Again, 0% financing on all 1 through 4 series machines. Stop by your local Ag Up or visit us at agup.com, your down-home dealer. Offer ends April 30th, so you have some time, but time's running short. See dealer for details. So, yeah, the NFL news of the day. The Chicago Bears possibly on the move, sort of. Here are the details. The Bears have been looking for a new stadium, by the way, for a long time. Although Soldier Field looks really cool and it's right by the water and it's an iconic venue, doesn't matter because billionaire owners just want everybody to build them new stadiums every decade. That endeavor took a, quote, meaningful step, reading from Courtney Cronin, by the way, at ESPN. On Thursday, opening the door for the storied franchise to leave Illinois to build a new dome stadium in Northwest Indiana. Seriously, real thing. Indiana lawmakers in the State House unanimously approved an amendment to Indiana State Bill 27 by a vote of 24-0. Obviously unanimous there. Today, that would clear a path for the Bears to build a stadium in what is a little town of Hammond, Indiana, right across the border there. It would create a Northwest Indiana Stadium Authority with the power to issue bonds, acquire land, and finance construction for the new stadium. There's a couple of quotes. I don't need to read those. The area of Wolf Lake, which crosses the Illinois-Indiana border along I-90, is located on Chicago's southeast side in Hammond, Northwest Indiana, which is about 25 minutes of Soldier Field. Now, that is what Google says on a non-traffic day. I think it's 19 miles. And on game day, it's not going to take you 25 minutes to get to the game, I would assume, when it's done. But it is close. It is still within the market, like the television market. They're not leaving the market. But the Bears, if this goes through, which apparently it's not a done deal, but the thought is, the narrative is that they are very likely to move to Indiana and out of Chicago and out of Illinois.
I don't really like that. But this is somebody that has absolutely no stock in the Bears. I'm not going to buy a ticket. I have, no say-so whatsoever. But I love the iconic venues. I love Soldier Field. There's so much has happened inside that stadium. I'm going to imagine they'll probably put a dome over that thing. They'll put a roof on top of it. And we won't have what we had in the playoffs where the ground's icy and people have snot that's completely frozen into icicles. I love that. That's the great thing about the NFL. Lambeau Field, the frozen tundra. That stuff that's NFL football. And we're about to get to the point where, over half the teams have a roof on their stadium and they're in climate-controlled environments, and you don't get that same feel in the playoffs that you do maybe at Buffalo or Kansas City or Green Bay or Chicago. Everything is so, I won't say cookie cutter because these stadiums are different. I mean, you look at what they've done over in Los Angeles and, some of those stadiums, they are different, but it just seems like we've made it like everybody's got to have this massive state-of-the-art, and I get it. That's you're catering to the fans. You want to give an experience to the fans that's going to sell tickets. But it feels like you're losing something when you take away Soldier Field like that.
Yeah, and not every city's going to get a Super Bowl, by the way, and some might get like one, and then that's it. There are only a handful of cities that can actually handle a Super Bowl, and part of what they want, poorly kept secret, is they want everything to kind of be walkable and in the same place. Mm-hmm. There's a real chance that where they just had the Super Bowl never gets it again. Yeah. Because of how much of a disaster it is. That's why New Orleans is a great event city, because you get your hotel and you never have to get in a car again because it's all right there.
From the French Quarter to the Superdome.
Yeah. And everywhere in between. It's, the next thing we need to do is, I don't know anybody that is on like a board of aldermen or whatever down there on the coast, but hey, Bay St. Louis. Get on board. I know apparently this was a possibility that they explored a while ago. The Saints possibly moving into Mississippi was an idea that was out there like 20 years ago. But hey, why not? I tweeted that, by the way, and people in Louisiana don't.
They will not be happy about that.
They don't take jokes very well.
And that you see that like the Superdome is like the heartbeat of New Orleans. Like that. I mean, think about what that does for the city, and the Pelicans to an extent, but for the Saints, like the connection between the Saints and New Orleans is so strong. And you would
they just put $500 million into renovations like that.
You would be, but that's kind of my point though. Like with Chicago, like that's part of their city. I mean, Soldier Field is part of the history of that city, and it's like the Superdome is a landmark in New Orleans. I feel like we're starting to move everything out to these sites where there's nothing around them, and those sites eventually start to build up. You look at what's happened at Arlington. Mm-hmm. With the Cowboys and the Rangers and like all that. Arlington has really grown because of that. But at the same time, like it's not Dallas. I mean, it's on the outskirts. It's like, that stuff to me just takes away a little bit of your identity. But I get it too. And you are pulling traffic away from the city, so it's not as congested, and there's a little more room to move around, things like that. But yeah, it just feels a little too corporate for me.
Yeah, and they don't care about people like us. But if I were to ever want to go see the Saints on the road and they were going to go play in Chicago, I would want to make that trip because the stadium at the present is downtown. And so, you get a hotel downtown and see what downtown Chicago's like and go see the Bean and then go to the game. But now you're telling me, and this one's not as bad as some of the others, but
the Panthers is like that.
Yeah, they're right downtown. Mm-hmm. I mean, so it's a stadium perfectly situated for if you want to go see Charlotte for whatever reason. Charlotte's a great city, by the way. But,
yeah. I walked around for the bowl game. I walked all around that city, and I walked to the stadium.
It's great. And so now it's like, okay, if the Saints are at the Bears, maybe we'll go, but it's a pain in the rear end because you're not right there. And imagine this, Ole Miss or State fans, because I think this is a pretty good application for both of you. If Vaught Hemingway or Davis Wade was just kind of done, and the vault needs a lot of work. They're going to announce plans here in a few months to show a renovation that they're getting. But somebody stepped in and said, hey, we're not going to renovate on site. Here's what we're going to do for you. We'll build a new stadium for you. And you're thinking, oh, great. Wow. In Tupelo.
Yeah.
And you would still go. The crowds would still be good. But you would lose the heart of what game day is supposed to be like. And that would be the case if the Saints would ever leave New Orleans, but they're not, of course. These NFL teams don't play in the city that they're named after. Okay, Buffalo, they're not in Buffalo. Miami's in Miami. New England's not a city. The Jets don't play in New York. The Browns are leaving Cleveland in the AFC North. The other three, I think they're all within the actual city close to downtown. But apparently the Bengals are exploring the possibility of moving to Kentucky.
The Bengals are right off the highway. I've been through there. They're basically in the city.
The AFC South is all actually in their city. The Chiefs are moving. The Chargers are not actually in Los Angeles.
And the Chiefs aren't really in the city either.
No, they're out there in a concrete jungle, just big parking lot around the stadium, and they're moving anyway. The Cowboys are not in Dallas. The Giants are not in New York. The Commanders are not in Washington, D.C. The Bears are about to leave Chicago. The Rams are not in L.A. The 49ers are not in San Francisco.
Pittsburgh's in the city.
Pittsburgh's there. I mean, Atlanta's, that part of Atlanta is not like super exciting, but they're in Atlanta.
Yeah.
They're actually there.
In the city, yep.
Why are we moving teams away from the city in which they're named after? It's crazy to me. But hey, again, Biloxi, get on your horses. Apparently teams are looking to move. The Biloxi Saints or something like that. We'll be back.
And the Venable Here
we go. Sports Talk Mississippi. Here's more. Super Talk Mississippi.
Your message is on the text line. This feels wrong, but both New York teams play in New Jersey. I agree with Robbie, though. I don't like it. Another one, problem with open-air stadiums, especially in the North, is that they can't be used for anything other than football for half the year. Another one, think of this. What if the people of Hammond don't want the NFL there? When the Atlanta Braves moved to Marietta, Georgia, the citizens were not only not allowed to speak at the council meeting, but were handcuffed and taken out of the building. Is that so? I'm not doubting, I've never heard. Is that true? Did that happen when Braves fans or people tried to speak up of, hey, we don't want our public money building a billionaire stadium, and they got silenced? Is that true?
I think there was some kind of, I don't know if it was like just because of that or if they were being unruly, but I think that is correct, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was just scrolling through Twitter right now. I mean, T-Bob Hebert's on there. He just moved to Chicago, and he was talking about, my kids really wanted to go to Bears games, and I was really excited about that, and now we're going to have to go an hour and a half to go to games.
Yeah, and
that's insane. It's actually worse than going to Tupelo. It's actually, if you're in Starkville, it's actually further than that. So that's just generally insane to go that far away. I mean, it's great for the state of Indiana.
Yeah, sure. Good on them, I guess.
Yep.
Somebody says the Patriots are not in Boston, need to ride a train for 20 minutes to get to the stadium. At least they don't claim Boston, though. They don't say the Boston Patriots. But point taken. And, college towns aren't super easy to get to either, but it's where they are. So
And if you have like an off-campus stadium, it's like a couple miles away. It's not. Like I think Memphis.
Yeah.
That's like a couple miles away, maybe 5-10 miles away from campus. I mean, it's just if you're playing off campus, you're not going all around the world to get to your stadium. This is an hour plus.
Yeah, away from where the city is.
I mean, it's crazy, man.
Yeah. Somebody says big cities suck, poorly run. I can't say a word that he used there. The money and paying customers reside in the suburbs, so rename the teams and move. I hear you. On this show, I'm a Saints fan. Obviously, I love New Orleans. I have never in my life gone to a game in New Orleans and felt unsafe. And maybe I'm lucky. Maybe I'm just going to the right places. But when you're around the venue, you don't experience the statistics you see on the news.
No.
Hayden had vacation in Chicago. Ask Hayden, he loved it. And he brought his family and his young daughters, and at no point did they feel anything other than joy about being there.
New York City, like when you're in the city, like I'd never hear of anybody having any issues.
Yeah, don't get me wrong here. I know that there are problems with all of our big cities. But when we're talking about the concept of a sporting event and going to a sporting event, I've been to a lot of stadiums in the country. I've been to a lot of NFL games, a lot of NBA games, and a handful of Major League Baseball games. And at no point, except for Atlanta, I don't like where the stadium is in Atlanta, but even after leaving a Falcons game, I didn't feel uncomfortable. It wasn't like there wasn't a party going on in the same way there is when you're leaving the Superdome.
Well, there's really not a whole lot around that stadium. Not like stuff where you can just go out and, walk across the street, sit in a sports bar, like when you come out of the stadium at the Superdome, there's like everything's right there.
Yeah.
It just feels like where the Mercedes-Benz is, there's just not a ton of stuff around there.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of dropped the big stadium right there.
And I don't like, and this is more for Cross in the Mornings featuring Richard Cross, I don't like that, and I understand why they do it. They play to your emotions. That's what happens. If you're a city that has a team, you know how important the team is to the city, and so you have to play the owner's games to keep the team, because if you lose them, look at what happens. I don't think that the public should be funding a multi-billionaire's football stadium.
No.
I don't agree with that concept, but what they do is they go to Indiana instead, because Indiana will get the taxpayers to pay for it for me, and see you later, Chicago. I don't think that should be the case, that the venues are fine, but, I understand the other side too. I mean, if you can do it, I suppose you're free to do that. But it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, it is. I mean, everything's turned into what, the bottom line. I'm not saying it hadn't always been about that in some form or fashion, but it's even more about that now. And you're just kind of catering to, a handful of people instead of your actual fan base now. The people in charge and, the people that are funding it and things like that. I mean, those are the people that are reaping the benefits, and the fans are the ones that suffer. There's never been a time where fans have suffered more than now, like in everything, having to pay. And I guess there's a wider reach there. I mean, it probably goes beyond sports. I mean, I just went to Zaxby's and I opened up the plate and I looked at my 7-year-old daughter and I was like, I can't believe this is what $11 gets you now.
It's amazing.
Well, she doesn't understand that. She came up to me with like a Mardi Gras coin or something and was like, I'll give you this for a French fry, But, yeah, I mean, like we're paying $11 to get a Big Zack Snacks meal, which is 3 tenders. The fans are footing the bill for college sports now, and Mississippi State fans are putting in millions of dollars for a roster that wins 5 games. These NFL fans are paying all this money, and they're having to go to Indiana to watch a football game from Chicago. Like, fans are suffering now more than ever. They're not, the return on investment's just not there for hardly anybody. I mean, unless you are winning the championships, unless you're coming out and you're hoisting the trophy. I mean, I'm sure Indiana got a nice little return on investment for theirs, but I mean, unless you're doing that, I mean, a lot of people just aren't getting their money's worth.
Somebody says John Stossel did a great piece years ago showing that the financial impact of a professional sports team on a city is actually minimal. Yeah, that's the other thing. That they get these deals to be so team-friendly when they move that the local municipalities, like, they don't really get all that much from it because the team owns everything. They get all the revenue. They get all this stuff. I mean, it's crazy.
My counter on that would probably be like the businesses at least flourish from it with the traffic that comes through. Restaurants and bars and shops and stuff like that, they get it, but the city itself probably no.
Somebody says, wouldn't it be awesome if just once fans boycotted when a team did this to them? That is one thing. I'm a red-blooded American. I will argue to the death with anybody that we live in the greatest country in the world. One thing that our sports culture needs to adopt from them over there, specifically in England, in the sports culture, right? Again, politics stuff, that's for tomorrow morning on Mornings with Richard Cross. When they tried to make that super league of the biggest soccer brands, they tried to create like a super league where there was no more relegation, no more promotion. It was just like this super league of whatever. And it was all only money driven, and all the fans took to the streets and boycotted games and demanded that it doesn't happen. Even fans of the teams that were going to get the Super League treatment, they were like, no, you are absolutely not going to destroy our tradition, which is promotion, relegation. Your team has to be good, and if you're not good, you play in the lesser level, and the good teams from the lesser level get to come up and play with the big boys. A meritocracy, you're not changing that. When season ticket prices go up, the fans will boycott the games where the whole stadium will be empty. They will refuse to go if they try to raise ticket prices. We don't do that here.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you can organize that. I think we almost care too much that you couldn't get enough people to sacrifice their game day, but I wish we did that here because it's so cool when they do that. Like conference realignment. I mean, USC and UCLA fans should have boycotted their move to the Big Ten. They really should have, but they didn't. In Europe, specifically England, they would have. They would have put a stop to it. That's the only thing that they do better than us. Everything else, God bless America, we're the best country in the world.
Yeah, 100%. I'm all on board with boycotting and forcing and bullying an administration and people like that into doing what the fans need.
Yeah.
All for it. You're the ones funding it. Absolutely.
601-879-4395, the C Spire text line. C Spire, customer inspired. We'll be right back.
From the Seabrook.com, here comes more Sports Talk Mississippi.
You ready, guys?
On Super Talk Mississippi.
Tyler with a question on the text line. Are Bears fans not just going to riot in the streets? They made the playoffs again, and look, they have a quarterback. It feels wrong, though. Not like the Jacksonville Jaguars moving or something. It's the Bears. The Bears play at Soldier Field. Just renovate or something and don't move. That's my point, though. They should be in the streets right now. We refuse. We will boycott your team if you do this, but alas, there we go. Somebody says it's expensive to be a fan, especially with the donation on each ticket. Oh, it's just getting worse and worse.
Yep.
It's getting worse and worse, and Fanatics is a big problem. Hey, Dad knows that I rant about them way, way, way too much.
But it's like the whole thought process of like boycotting, things like that. If people would just come out and as a collective, just come out and say, we're not spending money on this anymore, not like this.
Not doing it.
Then it would change. It's supply and demand.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how economics works. And like me and Haydad were talking about this the other day. I know people don't like to hear about wrestling, but the average WrestleMania ticket this season, this year, that's coming up in 2 months, I think, $680 for the average person. That's a person that's probably sitting in the nosebleeds. $680. I've been to 3 WrestleManias. I sat in the club level at Dallas, Texas for like $300. I was in New Orleans twice. I paid like $80, I think, the first time. If people would just say, we're not doing this anymore,
yeah,
it'd be no problem. And it's the same exact thing for anything. If you eventually just say, we're not going to do this anymore, prices are going to start going down in a lot of things, especially in sports. But it's like that whole thing, like when people come out, I'm done with college sports. College sports is dead. I'm done with the NFL. This woke nonsense. It's never been more popular. Either one of them. Neither one of them have ever been more popular than they are right now. Now, attendance has diminished at a lot of places, but as far as viewership, as far as sponsorships, money flow, never been more popular.
Nope. And
there's never been more money going through athletic departments to pay players, for facilities. It's at an all-time high. So it's not going to get any better.
Remember when tickets to concerts were like $30? Pepperidge Farm remembers. There's a band coming to town that I've never heard of, but an ad for their show popped up on my algorithm, and I was like, oh, I like this 15 seconds that I've heard. Mm-hmm. Might go see them. $30 to get in the door. No, it's a small band, small venue.
$30 used to be
$30 to get in the door. It's like
for Aerosmith.
Yeah, like I mean, you sound good, but to get in the door,
I spent $500 for Zach Bryan for 2 tickets.
Jeez.
Yeah, Davis Wade Stadium in May, and apparently the tickets have dropped because they're still trying to sell some. So supply and demand.
Yeah. Somebody brings up the Cody McMahon 39 points the other night in Ole Miss's win over Tennessee. Big one tonight. And I know you cover state women's basketball as part of your beat.
I'll be heading to their game right when we finish.
The big one in Oxford, they're kind of putting a lot of emphasis on this one with crowd and support. And frankly, the team, not only has the team earned it, but the men have come up so short this season that there is a winner that plays in the pavilion, and they deserve support, and I think they're going to get it tonight. They're really pulling out all the stops, and the team has earned it. Yo's done a really good job, and this would be, I mean, she has tournament wins, but when it comes to regular season, I mean, this would be one of those like marquee type program has arrived, expected to be one of the bigger crowds they've ever had. At least I think so. And it would be one of those you've arrived moments. LSU coming to town, 8 o'clock. Even Lane Kiffin's tweeting about it because, boy, he can't stop tweeting about Ole Miss, can he?
Yeah, that was a total troll job.
Yeah, of course,
everything is.
That's what he's going to do. But a big opportunity, big platform. Apparently Stephen A. Smith is going to be there. And, yeah, I mean, a big moment and a deserved moment for that program.
Yeah, and listen, I mean, I've been following women's basketball for most of my life. I was one of the few kids that would go to women's basketball games when I was a kid. I went and saw LaToya Thomas and Tam White and those teams. I went and watched Van Chancellor at Ole Miss because he was a Winston County guy. So, like, I've been following both programs pretty well. You know, state fans jumped on board immediately with Vic Schaefer, and they were selling out the hump. There was 10,000 people there. They were out drawing the men. For whatever reason, Ole Miss fans just have not latched on to that women's basketball program. and she's won more than anybody since probably Van Chancellor, and they just have not fully supported that. I'm sure it's frustrating because she has been consistently top 5 in the league, top 6 in the league. She's been to a couple of Sweet 16s. She's done a fantastic job there. And this could be one of her better teams. She brought in Cody McMahon from Ohio State. It's a really good player. She brought in several other transfers. DeBrisha Poe went over there from Mississippi State. That's kind of a 3-point specialist. And Denham DeShields left from Mississippi State. There's a few other transfers. She's got a really good team. But, yeah, it just hasn't been – it's been difficult for her to put a lot of fans in the stands there. And I imagine – tonight will be better than most because they have the Stephen A. Smith, and it seems like they've hyped it up, but people just have not really jumped on board at Ole Miss for that. And sports are like that. I mean, there's a lot of sports that people just do not really get into.
Yeah, only so much attention can go around. Hard. Very few places largely support women's basketball in the way that Coach O is wanting. And again, like you said, you're right that she has a winning program, and the support should follow. But there's a couple of things. I'm going to steal a take from Chase Parham in a way because he said this first, and I think he's right that. I understand. I get it. I get it. You want publicity from ESPN's highest paid employee. I understand that. I don't like when somebody says something so rear end backwards, not just about your institution, but about your state.
Yeah. And
you reward them by treating them like they're some kind of sports talking god. I don't like that. Because you're rewarding that kind of rhetoric. And again, it wasn't just Ole Miss that he was talking. He said things about the entire state of Mississippi that are just incorrect. And maybe when he rolled the red carpet out, he will see that it's not the way that people around the country think, and will change his mind and will brag on it tomorrow on First Take. And that would be great.
But he'll never really talk about it again is the thing. Like he'll go back and he'll talk about it tomorrow, and that's it. Like Dave Portnoy had a great experience in Starkville, and it's not like he's going on there every single day and just raving about Starkville, Mississippi. And you're exactly right. I'm one of those people, states, we really pushed it whenever, this stuff started coming out from Arizona State, which I felt like it was, I felt like state people took it a little bit wrong. About the hotel situation. I mean, Ken Dillingham wasn't entirely wrong about that, but at the same time, Mississippi people are tired of being talked down to by people that think they're better than us. So it always creates this animosity, and we got a chip on our shoulder. I'm one of those people, like, if a person thinks like that, who cares?
Yeah,
screw them. Why are we worried about this person?
And
they don't like it. That's fine. We're not going to sit here and give them a 5-star hotel, red carpet experience, and all this stuff after they've trashed us.
Yeah,
that's my opinion.
And maybe that works. And maybe I'm looking at it cynically, but yeah, I don't think that a take like that should be rewarded with celebrity treatment. I don't know. Maybe I'm off. Maybe it goes great and it was all worth it. There's a reason that people that work in the high up in athletics and marketing are doing that, and I'm just rambling on the radio. So
those people in that, for you and I, like we're probably both like just who cares what this person thinks, but those people, they see it as a chance. Like if we can get any kind of publicity, if somebody can come in here and talk about us, we'll take it. They'll do anything for national pub.
And Yo did such a good job responding to him, and he invited her on his show, and she did a great job there, and has done a really good job of promotion. And to me, it's like you have this great opportunity on the basketball floor, and you're almost taking away from it by, got to show Stephen A. a good time. It's like, well, why not? You have this opportunity on ESPN tonight against Kim Mulkey, the ever likable, the always joyous Kim Mulkey.
They should roll out the carpet for her and Lane. Give Lane a sideline seat. Let him sit there. Let them walk in hand again.
It's just, I don't know. I understand why. I maybe I'm being hypercritical. I just, make it about the team that deserves the pub, not the talking head that said something bad about your state. But it may work out. It may go great. I hope it does go great. Just, the state of Mississippi deserves better than the way it gets talked about. So, anyway, Sports Talk Mississippi.
From the Venable
What do they want? Exciting news.
Brace yourself.
More Sports Talk Mississippi now.
Welcome back, Sports Talk Mississippi. Interesting question on the text line. Who has the biggest female sports fan base in the country? Is Nebraska the right answer? They sold out their football stadium for a volleyball game.
Yeah. Collectively, I'm just trying to think. Because I don't, UConn obviously is probably a rather large fan base.
The images for the Nebraska volleyball game in Memorial Stadium, by the way, are staggering.
Yeah.
Because the volleyball court is it's tiny.
Yeah. But I wonder if those people were, I imagine most of those people were casual.
Yeah, it's a novelty thing. It's an event that you go to, but they support volleyball really well. And now that Caitlin Clark's gone at Iowa, are they still packing that place out the way that they did with her?
Probably. They were doing it before. That's always been a really loyal fan base. But they're kind of like that in most sports.
Somebody like an LSU, because they do, they show up for Mulkey, but also gymnastics does well.
LSU is one of those fan bases, if you're winning in a big way, they will show up no matter what. State on the smaller scales like that, if State ever has a sport, niche, whatever, if it ever becomes elite at something, they're there. Soccer, they started selling out every single, they had to start, I think, doing tickets for that. They started selling out every single soccer game there at the soccer stadium. And it had never really been like that. And when they were competing for the SEC championship, they were there. Women's basketball, they took thousands to Dallas, Texas, thousands to Columbus, Ohio for the Final Four. They were selling out games. I was at probably the greatest Mississippi State basketball atmosphere I've ever been at was State, South Carolina.
Yeah.
So, that's how State fans are. LSU fans are like that, too. If you get really good at something, they're going to show up.
Yeah, even robbing children's hospitals for the sake of paying football players. I mean, they support that, too.
All is fair in love and war, and in Baton Rouge, apparently.
Oklahoma softball, that's another good one.
Oklahoma softball is really strong. Well, I don't know about their basketball. They're not super gung-ho about basketball, but they're solid.
Man, they don't even show up for the men at all.
No, they don't.
Or baseball, really.
No, and that stadium was kind of weird. I was looking at it last year. It's a very strange stadium. They just have a grandstand area, and then they have these big hills. It's a weird stadium, and they're kind of golf clapping, and they're not really a baseball spot.
No. One of the very few in the SEC that don't particularly care.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing that I wanted to run by you. That's been kind of an argument on Mississippi State message boards for a while. Is the investment in baseball, and so there's a segment of Mississippi State's fan base, which is kind of strange to me because baseball has been probably State's second sport for a long time, since the 80s. That's when baseball really took off at Mississippi State, and it was really one of the first fan bases that fully embraced it. It was State and LSU, they kind of took baseball into this new era. And so State, this isn't something new for Mississippi State. They've had 10,000 plus. They own every single attendance record in college baseball history, and they're the top 25. But there's a segment of this fan base that believes you should stop giving money to baseball and give it all to football. And so, some of me agrees with that in terms of football deserves to be getting the bulk of the share or whatever. But at the same time, it's not like you're the only fan base in school that invests in baseball inside the SEC. Yeah. Relative to your peers, you're doing what everybody else is doing outside of Missouri and Oklahoma, I think, is even giving money to it. But everybody is. Ole Miss is doing it. LSU's doing it. Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama. Everybody's doing it.
I understand the concept of, cut everything and give to football to win at football because football is the most important. What do your people care about?
Right.
And
that's been my stance the whole time, because at UConn, they don't care about football, they care about women's basketball. That's their sport. And at Mississippi State, outside of football, their sport isn't basketball. I think people like it, but it's not. That's just not what it is here. State and Ole Miss are very similar in that way.
Divesting in baseball is a mistake because this isn't a bad thing. When I say your identity, it's not a bad thing at all. Your identity as a fan base is we love baseball the most. Mm-hmm. That is the identity. We hear it all the time. You see it in the facility, which is stunning. Taking away from that is a mistake. Now, maybe if you're hurt for cash or you need more for football, look to other sports. But when your fan base so closely identifies with baseball, not trying to win at the highest possible level in baseball is a mistake. Mm-hmm. Because that's what you are. That's what you care about so much. You can't divest in that. College Football Fix is next.
Your Sports Talk Mississippi now.
Welcome back, Sports Talk Mississippi. Michael Borky, Robbie Falk, coming up on the Farm Bureau guest line. My conversation with the great Michael Katz. We talked his experience in the trial, witnessing that, and some football stuff. So if you're just joining us, we started the show talking about Josh Hubbard's big night for Mississippi State, historic night for Mississippi State last night. He was pretty awesome. And we talked about that, put that in context of the history of performances like that, Keyshawn Murphy's return, and more, transitioned into the Chicago Bears, possibly leaving Chicago, and read some of your texts on the text line. If you missed any of that, wherever you get your podcasts, Sports Talk Mississippi, we're there, commercial free, and we're back on Spotify, but we're not, it doesn't just show back up. You have to resubscribe on Spotify. I can't count the number of people that have asked us about Spotify. It is back, but you're not automatically resubscribed. You have to go back in, find us on Spotify, and subscribe again. But wherever you get your podcast, never miss a minute of the show. You can find us there. It's time, though, for the College Football Fix. College Football Fix is driven by Ford and your local Mississippi Ford dealer. I know that we've got baseball, and we are excited about baseball, because Brian O'Connor's here. Southern Miss off to a great start. Ole Miss off to a great start. But spend some time this weekend at your local Mississippi Ford dealer. Test drive an F-150. You'll see right away why it's been the best-selling truck in America for almost 5 decades. This is the College Football Fix, driven by Ford. The NCAA is going to try to use a 1975 legal battle to retroactively punish schools that played players that the NCAA wanted to be ineligible but won court cases. This story does not mention the possibility of the NCAA trying to do this when he plays in 2026. But they're going to try to retroactively punish teams for playing players that the court said that they could. Here's the story from Ross Dellinger, Robbie's colleague at On3. He says in 1975...
Mississippi State graduate.
Yes, he is, and a good reporter and a friend of the show. I need to get Ross back on. I want to ask him about this in particular, actually. But he says in 1975, Oregon State basketball star Lonnie Shelton sued the NCAA after the association deemed him ineligible because he signed a pro contract. Shelton argued that the contract he signed was invalid, and he won in court. A judge granted him a preliminary injunction to return to play his final season of college. He led the Beavers to an 18-9 record and the Sweet 16 in what was then just a 32-team tournament. Months later, well after he left the school permanently, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals overruled the district court's injunction, and as a result, the NCAA voted to invoke what was then a new rule at its disposal, the rule of restitution, a policy passed the previous year that permits the association to retroactively punish a school if a court's eligibility ruling is eventually overturned. They ordered Oregon State to forfeit the 15 wins in which he played and to take his records off of the record books. 51 years later, a host of eligibility lawsuits against the NCAA are in a similar position. Athletes ruled ineligible by the NCAA but granted an injunction are participating or have participated in games while their legal cases continue within the judicial system even after they've completed their seasons. Many within college athletics have wondered if the NCAA would try to use that tool if they were to win those ongoing cases. Apparently that answer is yes. According to a pair of legal filings from the association, the NCAA is threatening to use the rule against Memphis and San Diego State, which each played a player last season via a court order, despite the NCAA ruling them ineligible. Could the Aztecs and Tigers really face punishment? Apparently, the NCAA's filing in both cases outlined penalties, including fines, striking records and stats, vacating wins, that kind of thing. No future punishment, but retroactive punishment. Now, there is also an Indiana player that just played at, I believe he was at Ole Miss, Lewis Moore, played for Indiana this year, played in all 16 games, was third on the team in tackles. His case is still ongoing. If Lewis Moore loses that case, is the NCAA going to try to take away Indiana's national championship? They're claiming they're going to.
And if you set the precedent, you got to use it for everybody, don't you? Can't pick and choose who you enforce it on. What I would say is, like, for the Charles Bediako thing, I think that Alabama should vacate all those wins that they had during that time period that he was playing. That, to me, was something that never should have happened. Now, if we're doing the eligibility thing where there's some gray area, Trinidad Chambliss, he has a court ruling in his favor over some medical records and some opinions by the medical staff and other people. There's some gray area there for the NCAA for sure.
Somebody says correctly, by the way, is a fine not a future punishment? Yes, I need to correct myself. What I mean is postseason bans. Like that's not at least on the table for a team that played a player in the past. That's what I meant. My bad. But good catch. You're exactly right.
But yeah, like I don't know. This sounds like it's going to be. It's just another thing that's going to probably go to court or something, and like it's just going to be a mess.
Imagine the volume of Indiana-tied attorneys that would operate pro bono if the NCAA tried to take away the national championship.
It's insane. It's insane. But, I mean, that's why we're just like, what are we doing at this point with the NCAA? I mean, we got president coming out and talking about we're going to expand the NCAA tournament. Like, these guys could not be more out of touch.
No. And you know who else is out of touch? Georgia football. Hey, if I told you 2 Georgia players got arrested, what would your first guess be on what the charges are?
Trying to play Vin Diesel and the other Brian O'Connor.
Does it involve
in the next fast 12 or wherever they are on this?
Does it involve speeding? Yes. It turns out it does. Guys,
what?
You cannot.
That doesn't sound like them.
You can't parody Georgia football. It is impossible to parody Georgia football. They are over 24 arrests of a similar kind in recent years. Again,
and that's not even talking about the other stuff.
No, it's just the vehicle situation. These guys apparently don't know how to drive. 2 Georgia players were arrested on now misdemeanor charges. I think one of them's bond was $24. But linebackers Chris Cole and Darren, is it Eichenbong? Sorry, young man, I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly. Ikinnagbon. I'm really bad with names. They were each arrested Wednesday night by the Athens-Clarke County Police on several misdemeanor driving charges.
Several.
Cole was charged with speeding and reckless driving, maximum limits, apparently, in the speeding. And the other one was charged with following too closely, speeding and reckless driving. They were both booked right at or after 10 o'clock. $26 bond for one and a $39 bond for the other. So obviously not something that is overly bad in terms of the crime and the punishment. But why can't Kirby Smart stop his players from driving above the speed limit and recklessly so?
There's no accountability. That especially right there. I mean, an intern could have paid that bond. I mean, what are we doing? I mean, that's nothing. $24, $39.
Yeah,
I
don't
nothing will
understand
happen
that part.
to them. They'll go do some bear crawling or gashers or whatever they do now. I mean, they might sue if they have to do that. I mean, there might be in their NIL deal. We don't have to run if we get in trouble. I don't know. I mean, this is such a crazy time. But he's not doing anything. I mean, Ra Thomas. They finally got to the point where they were like, all right, we have to make an example out of him.
And that was different.
They literally had a staff member die from racing when a player was driving the car. They literally had a person that worked for the team that died because of this. And they've had countless reckless driving, speeding, countless arrests since then. Since then, not before then, since that happened, since one of their teammates and a staff member had a wreck that proved fatal. Yeah. They've still not fixed this problem. It's actually getting worse.
Yeah. Somebody says, does that not sound a little fishy, a $24 bond? Yeah, it's that part of it's kind of nuts. I mean, that doesn't make sense to me, to be honest with you. Okay, arrested, and that's the bond? That's nuts.
It's the Athens police are just as part of the problem as Kirby Smart.
But when you've got over 24 of the same kind of thing, it's a
it's
larger
outrageous.
problem.
It's just laughable at this point. It's not even a surprise.
That's your college football fix, driven by Ford. When we come back, my conversation with Michael Katz, and then Robbie and Will East will take you the rest of the way because the Megalodons, we changed our name. We were the Zombies, but we got blue uniforms from the league, and the kids were like, Zombies aren't blue. We need to be sharks, and Megalodons are the biggest. So
let's go.
See you guys tomorrow. Robbie and Will got you the rest of the way.
And the Venable.
It's time to get real.
Real sports talk for Mississippi.
It's time for you to get real with it.
Sports Talk Mississippi continues on SuperTalk Mississippi.
All right, we now welcome on friend of the program, Michael Katz of the Daily Journal, who just suffered through a workout, which was very similar to suffering through 90 minutes of a judge reading a ruling in a courthouse in small town Mississippi. What's up, man? How are you?
I'm good. You know, the ruling actually took a little bit longer than the workout, so I don't know if that's bad on me or bad on the judge, but that's something.
So I went to journalism school, like I assume you did. I actually don't know what you went to school for. I assume journalism. And they sent us to Board of Aldermen meetings as part of like the curriculum that we had to go cover Board of Aldermen meetings. And it was the worst thing in the world. And it like made me contemplate my future. But once you got into sports, I assume that you never thought you'd be sitting in a courtroom for, a a true 9 to 5 in the courtroom listening to all of that.
Yeah, I in another life, I did some breaking news, cops, courts, all that kind of stuff. So, like, I've spent time in courtrooms, murder cases, really, really dark things. And I don't think I've ever spent a longer day in a courtroom than I did for this. And I certainly have not heard a longer reading of a decision. Yeah, it was surreal. Pittsburgh, 300 people, whatever it is of the current census, was the center of the college football world for a day. Like, what a world. What a world that is.
One of those frames behind you on the wall, is that your new law degree that you got after? I feel smarter, to be honest with you, after talking to lawyers and reading all of the filings, and I understood most of the words on them. So I feel like I kind of have a degree now.
You know what? If nothing else, I know what an injunction is.
There you go.
I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good about that. I teach a class on Mondays, and that was the first thing I asked. I was like, please let me know. If there's one thing you learn from watching this, please tell me you know what it is now.
And sure enough, he was able to secure that. And I don't want to go down the, what does this mean for college football road? Because frankly, I think his case is different than that of Bediako's and other. And you saw the NCAA try to loop them together. And even Andy Staples, who I really like, was right. He's like, people are trying to loop all of these cases in the same group. And he's like, stop reacting to the Trinidad case in the same way you do the others, because this is medical red shirt, one more year. It's different. But now that that's over, number 2 in Heisman odds, that kind of thing. What do you think about what his return means for the actual football piece of Ole Miss in 2026?
I mean, depending who you ask, you might have the best player in the country. I know Jeremiah Smith is incredible. There's a lot of really good players out there. But Trinidad Chambliss is one of those people, one of those players who legitimately can completely change a team's fortunes. He did that for Ole Miss. He did that within games for Ole Miss. Listen, you've got 2 Heisman contenders in the backfield. I mean, find a better backfield in college football than that. I mean, goodness.
You're not being hyperbolic, truly.
No, I mean, you've got 2 All-Americans, both guys who legitimately could put up Heisman numbers. There's no question. You've got a team that has a lot of momentum that is going to be in the national conversation. They've got, yes, I know that they lost some pieces to the guy in Louisiana, but they also brought in a lot of really good pieces to improve in a lot of spots. So, I think that, if this wasn't Trinidad, if this was Deuce Knight or, whatever, I think they'd still probably be pretty good. They're a top 25, top 15, 20 team, something like that. When you bring back a guy who, I don't know if there's a quarterback I want more on my team if I'm a college football coach.
There's very few options out there. I mean, you've got one in Texas, one in Oregon that you look at and you think, you could have a conversation. Maybe saying at Ohio State, but he really wasn't good against the good teams that he played either. So it's very, very few. Did it feel like when you're sitting, we love small town Mississippi on this radio show. We absolutely love it. But the center of the college football world for a day was Pittsburgh, Mississippi. Did it feel as big as it actually was when you were sitting there in that courtroom? Because you said it. I mean, we've talked about it on this show. The wins above replacement, Heisman Trophy odds, all that stuff all went down there.
Yeah, within the actual courtroom, it didn't feel that big because, it's 150 people or whatever. Listen, the people who are watching, there were a couple of, I think high school classes that came to just, watch. Because, listen, if you're a teacher and you don't have a lesson plan, I'm going to take my class to go watch that if I'm an Ole Miss fan. Come on, man. Let's learn about the justice system, right? So there were a couple buses that brought students, which I thought was pretty interesting. There are Ole Miss fans there, as we saw, as I tweeted out, Trinidad signing footballs in between breaks, which that's another story. That was otherworldly. So in a lot of ways, it kind of felt contained because I know Trinidad, I know his family, so it kind of feels a little close knit. But then I start getting retweets and follows from and DMs from national media, and I'm like, oh, this is pretty big. Like, you know, people like, what station's it on? Where can I watch it? And I was like, I don't know, man. I'm here. I'm gonna let you find it. I know there's someone recording it here. I'm sure you can find it.
I'm not streaming it. I got to write about it. Okay.
Yeah, I gotta do banger tweets. You know, that's what the gig is. But yeah, and then I think by the end of it, when eventually the judge got to his decision, I think it kind of hit like how big this was. You know, obviously the smile on Trinidad's face and the relief from him and his mom and Joe Judge and everybody who was, you know, representing his side. But, you know, again, when you are able to, I don't want to say add one of the best players in the country, but when you aren't sure if you're going to have one of the best players in the country on your team and you get him back, oh boy, that's a hell of an addition. And I think that college football kind of felt that.
So I have a theory, and listeners of this show have already heard this theory, but I think you're seeing it again today in something unrelated that we may have talked about by the time we played this interview. But I have a theory that the NCAA didn't truly actually try to win that case. And here's what I mean by that. You are arguing that this player did not have a medical condition that prevented him from playing, right? That's the NCAA's argument, is we can't grant the red shirt because he wasn't actually ill. The Chambliss side had over 90 pages of medical documentation. They brought an ENT doctor on the stand to talk. They had statements from Ferris State, a physician, a coach, and an assistant AD from something or other, all on their side. The NCAA at no point, this is what's crazy, and the national reaction does not, I guess, and I understand why most people didn't watch, but the NCAA brought no evidence of their own. They didn't consult a medical expert of any kind. Nobody, nothing to say, hey, actually, you know, those conditions that they lay out, they're really not debilitating. He really could have played, and I am a medical expert based out of wherever, and I treat patients like him, and I think he could have played. They didn't even bother with that in none of their filings, not on trial day, nothing. And so how can you say that you tried to win if you did not do that? And so my theory is they go to these cases, they know they're going to lose anyway, but they don't try, so they can go to Capitol Hill and say, look, we tried and we can't win, and please save us, Congress. You can't tell me that was their best foot forward. I refuse to believe that was their best attempt at winning that case, actually.
It was staggeringly not a well thought out argument that they threw out there. Again, no witnesses, never seen that before. When they didn't cross-examine Trinidad's mom, I knew it was over. I was like, yep, okay, they know. They're cooked.
And even if you know you're going to lose, shouldn't you at least present your side and be like, hey, we had a great case here, guys?
Yeah, no, I mean, this was
but literally... They didn't do it.
I had somebody say that someone said this was like the trust me bro defense, and it was just they did not make any compelling arguments. It was really just like, well, it really wasn't that bad. And then you have Trinidad's side lay out like the debilitating stuff about how like literally he couldn't sleep and all, you know, he couldn't gain weight. And then NCAA's like, well, yeah, but he practiced. And I'm like, that's not like necessarily going to be your best argument.
And we've got people in our audience, Michael, that roll their eyes at that because they don't think that he, you know, had a debilitating illness. But for those of you listening that roll your eyes at that, the NCAA didn't try to get – they didn't try. That's my point, is they didn't even bother laying out other than and that's not going to work anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, their defense was, well, if it was so bad, why did he practice? And – if it was so bad, why didn't he get his tonsils taken out earlier? That was literally it. That is what they came to the gunfight with. And Trinidad's side brought a tank and a bazooka, and they were like, "Hey, like, you're going to have to do more than that."
We'll hold that thought. We'll be right back with Michael Katz of the Daily Journal, Sports Talk Mississippi, from the Pearl River Resort Studio.
What was I thinking? What was
From the Seabrook, your number one for sports talk.
Anyone?
Anyone?
Come on, don't be shy.
Sports Talk, Mississippi.
Bingo, man, bingo.
Super Talk, Mississippi.
All right, back with a little bit more. Here's on the Farm Bureau guest line, Michael Katz of the Daily Journal. Outstanding coverage of Ole Miss sports. If you don't follow him by now, if you don't read his stuff, you should. I don't know what you're waiting on, but you absolutely should. So the next step to this, Ole Miss gets Trinidad back. They had the trial. It's over. Is now there's a lot of pressure. We've talked about pressure on Pete Golding. A lot of pressure on John David Baker because, he's gone out and done it on his own. He is a Kiffin disciple. He runs the same offense. All of that helps. But you don't have the year one excuse, which is a good thing for Ole Miss. But you have a veteran quarterback who just took a team to the semifinal. You have an elite running back, and the two backups that you added in the portal are really good additions. You return your interior three on the offensive line. You return Luke Haz at tight end. You return Deuce Alexander at wide receiver, and you portaled a handful of wide receivers as well. There is no excuse for John David Baker to not have a quality offense for Ole Miss in 26.
Yeah, you brought him in continuity was something that Pete Golding talked a lot about when he got hired. And you're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We are going to do what worked with the other guy. And what worked was this type of offense. And they brought in, Charlie Weiss did an incredible job. There's a reason that he was a Broyles Award finalist. There's a reason he is making a ton of money in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. But you brought in a guy who you think can do the same sort of things and who has done it on his own, not just a guy who was under Lane. He had some pretty good offenses at East Carolina, and they were very, very bad when he got there. They were in the 100s, and they ended up in the top 15 during his time there. So, but yeah, when not only do you have a head coach who his first games were in the playoffs and he won them. So the year one excuse is already kind of out the window with that. But two, you are bringing back one of the most talented rosters in college football, and you have the most talented backfield in college football. I don't think there's going to be much of a room for, trial and error and it's his first time calling plays at Ole Miss. They don't have time for that. Mm-hmm. There's a reason they fought so hard to get Trinidad back. It's because they believe that with him, they can win a national championship. They don't have time to go through the motions. So yeah, there's a ton on him. I'm going to be really interested to speak with him in the spring when I assume we'll get to him and sort of see what his philosophy is, just and how it might differ from Charlie and how, because I personally thought during the playoff run, Charlie did his best work. Because, and that's when we really learned how good Charlie Weiss is, right? When he isn't necessarily being talked about as just, Lane's really the one doing all the offense, right? Yeah. Charlie Weiss put up a masterclass in during that playoff run. He was awesome. I would love to see what is John David Baker's philosophy? How is he going to put his spin on it? What does it look like when he's under a defensive coach? I'm really curious to see what that looks like. I assume he's going to be able to do whatever he wants. I think Pete's smart enough to kind of take his hands off the wheel and let the other guy handle it. But really curious. I don't think you take this job without knowing that there's going to be a ton of pressure on you. There's no question. You don't come to a playoff team that has as much talent as it does and think, they're going to give me plenty of leash. I think he's smart enough to know that was never going to be the case.
Yeah, for sure. And now, so spring, do we have any indication yet of what they're going to do for spring? I'm hoping. I'm a college football truther. I think spring practice was actually fun and interesting and gave us something to talk about. And when the schools would open them up, fans got to go see them. And the spring game was a nice day, especially for people that, may not be able to afford the 4-figure weekends to go see a conference game. And I want that back. But we don't know yet if that's coming back.
No, we don't. I feel pretty confident there's probably not going to be a hot dog eating competition. That feels like it probably isn't in the cards. But, I guess we could see.
Knowing what they did with the basketball goal, I would love to get Pete Golding's unfiltered thoughts of, all right, hey, Pete, between you and me, because I don't think he would talk about this publicly that way. But
no.
What did you think of Joey Chestnut on the field during the spring game?
As someone told me, he's not about the bells and whistles, and I think that's a very good way of putting it. Pete's just a football guy.
He is just a football guy, and a lot of pressure on him, and a lot of pressure on this baseball team as well. We'll skip basketball. They lost again last night, blew a lead. There's a larger conversation to be had when the season wraps up. But baseball, they look great on the mound. Excellent, frankly, starting pitching. Looks like a lineup that can be pretty potent and have a really hard time fielding their positions, a carryover from last year. So what are your quick thoughts on what you've seen so far?
Yeah, I mean, I thought the lineup was going to be pretty good when you return a guy like Judd and Federico and Foley, and Foley hasn't even really gotten going yet. Yeah. And then you add the pieces that they did. It felt like they were gonna produce. Listen, you know what you're getting every Friday with Hunter Elliott. You have an All-American, Golden Spikes caliber pitcher, but Townsend and Libbert, those are two really talented dudes. And we saw it, and listen, I know, that it was against a not so great, opposition, but, Kate Townsend is a guy who came in really highly touted out of California. He's from my neck of the woods. I knew about him, coming out of high school. Libbert was a really talented guy. Mm-hmm. When you can throw three guys with elite stuff, and then you have that offense, yes, the fielding does need to get better. There's no question. Every time I see a drop ball at first base, a part of me dies. There's had some errors at shortstop. It's those little things that this team needs to clean up. But I think they're going to be good. I thought that they were really undervalued in the preseason polls, and I know D1 baseball isn't super high on them yet. I think Baseball America has them in the top 15 or 16, something like that. I think this is going to be a team that is. I know they have a tough schedule. That's going to be tough, but I think that there's no. I think they're going to be in the hosting conversation, and
they should be.
And if nothing else, they're pretty solidly, I think, going to be in the field, and they're going to be someone I don't think anyone's going to want to see come early summer.
Michael, thank you so much for your time. You're always way too kind with your time. Is it just at Michael Katz with a K on Twitter?
At Michael L. Katz.
Michael L. Katz, and not at Katz with a K, but Michael Katz, and Katz is spelled with the K, for clarity's sake. Thank you so much for your time, man.
For sure, man. Appreciate you.
All right, that was Michael Borky talking to Michael L. Katz from the Northeast Mississippi Daily Journal. I am Will East. We've got Robbie Falk. It's the bullpen, Robbie.
It is. It's both of us.
Both of us.
Both teams have gone to the bullpen, and now it's anybody's ball game. Who knows what's going to happen at this point?
Speaking of bullpens, we haven't really talked baseball today. Ole Miss has Missouri State. And before you write off Missouri State, the Bears, they've been pretty good over the past couple of years.
Yep.
Won a
That's
couple
a good
conference
program.
championships. Yeah. They made they've won some regional titles. It's been a while ago, but they had I think they made the NCAA tournament the last couple of years, if I'm not mistaken, and they've won their conference the past couple of seasons. And then Mississippi State plays
Delaware. I'm in Delaware. We talked about this off air. Anytime I hear Delaware, I immediately jump to Wayne's World.
Yes. So Delaware is known for two things. Wayne's World.
Yep.
Numero uno.
Wayne's World talking about Delaware.
Yes, and how boring it is.
Yep.
And I guess Joe Biden, who represented Delaware, president.
Yes.
And that's
pretty much it. I don't know what they do. And they're probably sitting here going, I don't know what Mississippi does, but hey.
I feel like Mississippi has a better name recognition than.
Well, yeah, and then if you look at the history of it, we got Elvis Presley, we got all these great football players, we have musicians and authors, and even some TV stars.
But Delaware has none of that.
Delaware, what does Delaware have? And do they have a president? We have established that.
Yeah.
I don't what's their thing? They play sports.
The Blue Hens.
What, sports balls?
The Blue Hens.
The Blue Hens. That's right. I'm excited about it. But, yeah, I mean, this is I think Ole Miss probably going to be a little more challenged than State will, I imagine. Missouri State's always been solid. I think State played them in a series actually last year. Is there last year or before they came to Starkville? But that's been a team, they've been to Arkansas up there and won ball games. That's always a solid club. State will be challenged again next week. They're going to Arlington and going to play Arizona State, Virginia Tech, and UCLA, who's a top 5 team. So, I mean, and both teams, it's going to pick up quick, man. They both have monster SEC schedules.
Ole Miss has, off the top of my head, they have Ohio State. They'll play next weekend. Baylor, and then Coastal Carolina at 9:30 on Sunday morning. A little AM baseball.
Yay.
Love AM baseball. All right. Coming up, we're going to talk about one of the most infamous nights. Speaking of baseball, one of the most infamous nights in Major League Baseball history. They are commemorating it up in New York City. We'll talk about all that when we return here on Sports Talk Mississippi.
In the Venom Talk Mississippi.
Here we go.
Super Talk Mississippi.
Is in the third slot. John Olerud having taken place, part of a double switch. Bobby Valentine the dugout. Wait. Well, Bobby was thrown out on that catcher's interference call, and he's gone incognito. Sorry, Skip, we got you.
That's right. Do you remember Robbie Falk? Filling in for Brian Hayda today. I'm Will East filling in for Michael Borky. Do you remember Bobby Valentine's infamous disguise when he was the manager for the New York Amazing Mets in 1999? He was thrown out of a game in I believe the 12th inning, and decided to sneak back in wearing 2 pieces of black tape as his mustache.
Yes, I remember that. That was fantastic. That sounds like something Ron Polk would have done. Like if Ron Polk did that in 1985, nobody would bat an eye.
Yeah, it's just part of his personality.
It's just part of the shtick.
The whole reason we're bringing this up is today, among several other promotions that the New York Mets announced, they have announced a Bobby Valentine disguise night, which will actually happen on May 29th, inspired by the former manager's infamous return to the dugout after being ejected from that game in 1999. That story, so 99 was a very crazy kind of period for me in baseball. I was a huge Atlanta Braves fan. Mm-hmm. And, of course, Bobby Cox and the Jones boys and all that. And I hated the New York Mets.
Good, because I was a Yankees fan and I hated the Mets as well.
Oh, so you're a Yankee. I didn't know you were a Yankees fan. Okay.
Yep.
So...
And we had the Subway Series.
Yeah.
One of the, was it, I forget what year it was.
I think Bobby Valentine was the manager, if I'm not mistaken, of that Subway Series, that World Series between the Mets and the Yankees.
2000. It was the next year.
So it was next year, yeah.
Yeah. I knew it was around that. I couldn't remember. It's 01, I think, was the Diamondbacks.
01 because you had the 9/11 stuff.
But yeah, that was, I hated the Mets then. Mike Piazza.
The Mets.
Yep.
And this was like the heyday of SportsCenter. And they ran with this, because it's New York media, obviously.
Oh, yeah, Kenny Mayne and Stuart Scott. They loved that.
They loved that.
Yep.
And so it's one of the most infamous moments in sports history, really, especially baseball. And I read, Robbie, I saw that earlier today, and I read an article about the history of what happened during that game.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, it was top of the 12th inning. He had gotten thrown out because of some call at second or something. Patrick Mahomes' dad, was actually the pitcher for, I believe, the Phillies. I think that's who they were playing in that game. I may be mistaken about that. But anyway, so he goes to the dugout, And it's a really critical time for the team. They had been losing a lot, and he really wanted to win this game. And Robin Ventura and Oral Hershiser were in the locker room. He comes in after getting thrown out, and they start egging him on, saying, "Hey, go back out there. They're not going to know. They're not going to know." And Oral Hershiser takes black tape and puts it on Bobby's lips to make a false mustache, and then they give him sunglasses. It's the middle of the night, by the way. It's a night game in the 12th inning. It's very late.
Nobody will notice
nobody
the
will
black
notice.
tape under your nose and the sunglasses at night. Nobody will notice this.
And
you won't stick out at all.
Yeah, and so Oral Hershiser even adds a little sweetener on top of it. He says, "Look, I'll block you out, okay? I'll block you out so the cameras won't see you." And he go, okay, so he changes his shirt. He puts on just a regular Mets shirt, sneaks out there, and Oral Hershiser, one of the smartest men in baseball history, forgets to block him out. The cameras catch him. The announcers start, I just played it for you, they start going crazy. Bobby Valentine gets suspended for 2 games. He gets a $5,000 fine, and to this day he says Oral Hershiser owes me $5,000.
This wasn't my fault.
This wasn't my fault. But Bobby Valentine.
Is it you show up dressed like Bobby Valentine, or they give you a disguise?
I hope they it's the giveaway for the first 15,000 fans will be a glasses mustache setup.
So like the nose, the fake nose glasses usually.
Yeah,
this is going to be the glasses and a mustache.
Yeah,
that's great.
And it's funny because this has become Bobby Valentine's like legacy. Is this moment? You never know what your moment's going to be. Yeah. This was his moment. I mean, you just mentioned it. He went on to manage a team that made it the World Series,
and nobody talks about that.
Nobody remembers that. I mean, It was the Subway Series too.
Well, they also have the infamous contract, Bobby Bonilla, or who was it?
Bobby Bonilla, yeah.
And he's still getting paid out by the Mets. They're remembered for the wrong things. Nobody talks about what they did, what they've actually accomplished.
And that all that money stuff was financed by Bernie Madoff, believe it or not. And so
who would have thought?
They really are the amazing
He does a great job of money management.
Thank you so much, Robbie, and it'll be me and Borky tomorrow. You've got baseball as Delaware. You're in Delaware.
Can't wait.
All right, we'll talk to y'all tomorrow as we return here on Sports Talk Mississippi on Super Talk Mississippi. Have a good night.
Incredible!
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.